In the heart of Mumbai, where the streets never sleep and dreams rise with the morning sun, lived a boy named Arav. The city pulsed with energy, from the honking horns of rickshaws weaving through traffic to the scent of street food drifting through the air. Amid the chaos and color of everyday life, Arav found his rhythm. Just 12 years old, he had a spark in his eyes that burned brighter than the city lights, and a rhythm in his soul that couldn't be silenced. He wasn't like most kids in his crowded chawl. While others chased after cricket balls in dusty lots or flew paper kites across the rooftops, Arav danced. It wasn't something he learned in a studio or from a teacher. It came from within, as natural to him as breathing. He danced when he was happy. He danced when he was sad. He danced when no one was looking, and sometimes when they were. His stage was wherever his feet landed, on cracked rooftops under monsoon skies, down narrow alleyways echoing with laughter and clatter, and even on the edge of busy train platforms, lost in the music playing only in his head. To the world it might have looked like play, but for Arav, dancing was a language, one that spoke his dreams, his hopes, and the fire he carried in his heart. Arav didn't have much, at least not in the way the world measures wealth. His father worked long hours as a taxi driver, weaving through the relentless traffic of Mumbai to bring home whatever fare he could. His mother spent her days sitting cross-legged on the pavement near the temple, selling fresh jasmine and marigold garlands to passers-by, her hands always busy, her eyes always tired. Their home was a single room tucked into the corner of a crumbling building with peeling paint and a leaky roof, but it was filled with warmth, laughter, and the kind of love that didn't need much space to grow. They had no television, no refrigerator, and only one fan that worked when the electricity did. But every evening, as the sun dipped behind the skyline and the hum of the city softened, Arav would pull out the old radio that had belonged to his grandfather. Its dials crackled with static, but when the music came through, the soulful cry of the sitar, the heartbeat of the tabla, something magical happened. The tiny room would transform into a stage, and Arav would come alive. He moved not with precision but with feeling, spinning on bare feet, leaping over worn floor mats, arms outstretched as if he could take flight. His dance wasn't rehearsed, it was raw, free, and full of something ancient and powerful. But chasing a dream in a city like Mumbai is no easy feat. Dreams are everywhere here, but so are doubts. Arav's classmates mocked him when they saw him practicing near the schoolyard. "Dancing is for girls," they'd sneer, snickering behind his back. Some of the neighbors shook their heads when they saw him twirling in the alley, muttering that he was wasting his time. "What will dance bring you?" they'd say. "This city eats dreams. Be smart, be practical, study, become an engineer, or at least a bank clerk." But Arav didn't stop. He couldn't. He would dance when they weren't looking, and sometimes even when they were, as if every step he took was a quiet rebellion against the world that told him who he should be. One ordinary afternoon, as Arav walked home from school with his head full of beats and choreography ideas, something caught his eye. A bright red flyer fluttering on a telephone pole, half torn and weathered by the wind. He stepped closer, brushing the edges flat with his fingers. What he read made his heart leap into his throat. Open auditions, the National Academy of Dance. The very name shimmered like a dream. The National Academy, a place only spoken about in magazines, television interviews, and hushed conversations between aspiring artists. It was one of the most prestigious institutions in all of India, known for transforming unknown talents into legends. And now they were holding open auditions, right here in Mumbai. The winner would receive a full scholarship, tuition, travel, everything. Arav stared at the flyer, barely blinking. His fingertips trembled. For the first time, the impossible felt like it was within reach. From that day on, Arav became a storm of focus and determination. He turned their tiny home into his personal studio, practicing late into the night on the cracked cement floor until his feet ached and his muscles burned. With no formal training, he became his own teacher, studying YouTube videos on his father's old phone, pausing, rewinding, mimicking the moves over and over. His mother sewed him a simple audition outfit using leftover fabric scraps. His father skipped meals some days to save money for a train fare and a small bottle of hair oil. "To make you look your best," he said with a proud smile. When the day of the audition arrived, the skies betrayed him. The rain didn't just fall, it poured. Mumbai was drowning in water, trains ground to a halt, streets turned to rivers, thunder roared above, and the city seemed to pause under the weight of the storm. Arav stood at the station entrance soaked to the skin, the flyer crushed in his damp hand, his audition bag dripping wet. He looked like a ghost of his dream, shivering, cold, and close to giving up. For a moment, doubt whispered in his ear, "You're already late. You're already wet. It's impossible." But then another voice rose inside him, softer but stronger. It was the voice that danced when no one believed in him, the voice that knew the rhythm of his heart. He lifted his chin toward the gray sky, let the rain wash over his face, and took off running. He didn't stop. Through knee-deep puddles and crowds with umbrellas, he ran like his future depended on it, because it did. By the time he reached the academy's tall iron gates, his shoes were soaked, his clothes stuck to his skin, and his legs screamed for rest. Inside, the auditorium buzzed with chatter. Dancers were warming up, some already packing to leave. Arav burst through the doors just as the official called the last few names. His pants were caked in mud, his hair plastered to his forehead, and the front desk staff looked at him with raised brows, but he didn't flinch. He stepped forward, his name barely louder than a whisper. The judges exchanged glances. One of them frowned at the sight of him, but then they nodded. The music began, and Arav danced. In that moment, Arav didn't see the judges. He didn't see the stage, the blinding lights, or the small crowd scattered across the auditorium. The dripping water from his sleeves, the ache in his legs, the wet clothes clinging to his body, all of it disappeared. His eyes were open, but his soul had slipped into another world. He saw the streets of Mumbai, not the chaos or the noise, but the beauty hidden in the cracks. He saw the alleyways that had been his first stage, the rooftop where he danced under stars, and the train station where his feet moved in rhythm with the tracks. He saw his mother smiling through tired eyes as she strung jasmine flowers in the fading light. He saw his father leaning against his taxi, clapping gently while pretending not to cry. He saw the boy he used to be, uncertain, barefoot, full of dreams too big for a small room, and he saw the boy he was becoming, right there in that moment. Every step he took, every turn and every leap told a story. His story. Of struggle, of quiet rebellion, of nights spent practicing until his toes blistered, of ignoring laughter and cruel words, of choosing passion over fear. His movements were not perfect, but they were full of heart, of honesty, of something raw that no training could teach. And when the final beat echoed through the hall, Arav stood still in the silence. For a few seconds there was nothing but the sound of his own breath. Then, applause, not polite or pitying, but real. A slow build that grew louder, stronger. Some stood. A few wiped their eyes. The judges whispered to one another, nodding. Arav didn't need to be told what he already knew. He had done something special. Weeks passed. Life returned to its familiar rhythm. Arav went back to school, helped his mother with flower bundles, and danced when he could. Still, every time the postman walked down the street, his heart would skip a beat. Then one morning, wrapped in brown paper and sealed with a gold crest, the letter came. His hands trembled as he opened it. He had made it. A full scholarship. A spot at the National Academy of Dance. Arav was going to be a dancer. Not just any dancer, but one who rose from the overlooked corners of Mumbai, from a one-room home, from puddles and laughter and doubt. He was carried by the beat of his heart, the strength of his spirit, and the quiet, relentless power of never giving up. And so, his journey truly began, not at the start of his dance, but with his first step into a world that had once felt out of reach,